Hey there, toy collector friends and Doctor Who fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. This is the time travelling toy collector, and this here is the Hero Collector Eaglemoss TARDIS Consoles collection. Fourth Doctor console from the 18th season of the classic series of Doctor Who. Additionally, this is also my 100th video, so I've saved doing this. It was the very first release from Hero Collector of the TARDIS consoles, and it's subsequently become really hard to get hold of, and I see online that the prices of it are astronomical in certain places. So I'm really pleased that I broke my own rules back in the day and picked it up when it was first offered, and have subsequently collected all of their consoles going forwards, all of which I think you've now seen, and you can, if you haven't, you can pick them up on the TARDIS Consoles playlist. I know there's some more coming out, but this video marks the last of the pre up till now released consoles, which in a timey-wimey kind of way was also the first console that they released. Again, much like what came next in the majority of cases, it's a very well detailed, beautiful piece. And again, for those of us who probably watched season 18 the first time around, there was never a TARDIS console toy that was, or representation, that was something that we could really buy into. There were various things we could use that would fire our imaginations, and goodness knows there were things that I used as a child. I think it was one of the Star Wars mini rigs that was usable as some sort of power supply thing, and it had a central column of sorts, although it had a great long piece of plastic attached to it. And I remember using that as my my TARDIS console, because that's all we had back in the day, until Dapple came along with their electronic TARDIS console, which didn't have enough sides, back in the 80s, which I never had a copy of. That's probably on my list of toy holy grails. Anyway, that's a whole lot of stuff that isn't this, and this is the feature of the day, and goodness gracious me, it is beautiful. And actually having it alongside the first Doctor's very original TARDIS console, you can see how from an evolution of the design, there are some key elements that remain, along with those key elements that have disappeared. And I really hope that we do see some more of the classic period. Apologies if people just see it as one long continuous period. I tend to see it that way, but for ease of breaking down the continuity for all viewers, by classic I mean anything that sort of predates the 1989 cancellation, and probably the 8th Doctor's first on-screen appearance in the 1996 movie, sorry. So I really hope that some of the other gaps in that time period are filled in, because there are variations that the 4th Doctor had, and the 5th Doctor, and of course the 2nd and 3rd Doctors are quite unrepresented at this time, although I appreciate they were just rehashed, repaired, gaffer taped models of the 1st Doctor's TARDIS. However, there are a couple of 3rd Doctors particularly that are notably different, so I'm really hoping that they can pick up on that. And they may or may not look at doing the Master's TARDIS console, or the Rani's TARDIS console, and depending on what that looks like, I might be interested. If it's just a recolouring of the 5th Doctor 20th anniversary console, I may give it a hard pass. Equally, the collector in me already knows I'm likely to not do that. Anyway, that's neither here nor is it there. Let's take a look at the main event for today. I'm going to lift it up so that you can really see. I'm going to hold it over there so you can get a look at all of those sides at once. Now again, is it 100% accurate, screen accurate? Well, we know the answer to that. We know it's not completely screen accurate, but we know it can't be, you know, because this is a relatively mass-produced piece, and it's hand painted, and it's, you know, there's a lot going on here. There's some lovely detailing. I love the way this grill picks up the light. I love the fact that we do have the sliding switch there, and the joystick control here. that we have these panels here. I mean, there's a lot here that, whilst I can understand that there'll be naysayers who go, oh yeah, but this and yeah, but that. Well, actually, how about all the lovely things that we can appreciate? And I that's what I'm focusing on. I get that it could be better, but you know what? Show me something that couldn't be better. I really appreciate what we've got here, because not least because this was the first one. This was the one that if this hadn't gone well, we may well not have got any of those other TARDIS consoles, which, you know, with the exception of the 13th Doctor so far, would have been horrific. But I really love the paint detailing. I love these little screens. Yeah, I love the red piping that outlines the various component parts. It does, of course, come with its very own magazine, which I'm not going to show you right now. You can order it if you wish, but the plastic section does come away. So should you want your 4th Doctor to effect some repairs, you can. Now, of course, as you will know by now, probably, the Hero Collector 4th Doctor console is scaled to their own figurine collection. Not something I'm a big collector of. I've pulled together some of their special edition Dalek packs, as well as some of the Cybermen figures I've been able to get my hands on as part of their evolution of the Cybermen range. But for me, the humanoid figures don't really work quite so well as some of their more practical, either alien robotic-esque figures, or most definitely the TARDIS consoles. So do they work with the other options that we have? Well, with Dapol, I don't really have that many surviving things from Dapol, but I can comment on the character options figures. And as you can see there, we've got the 4th Doctor in the background. They don't scale well if you wanted to play directly, but again, that doesn't get in the way of our imaginations firing and turning out a really good piece of play opportunity. So actually, you know, you could. They do, however, lend themselves quite well for some toy photography, which I think is perhaps more, certainly now for me, is more relevant. And also because these are resin models, as you can hear and see. They're not really designed for a lot of play. They are display models, really collector's models. So I wouldn't recommend having too much in the way of a hardcore play. I will just show you the plinth that it stands on. I realise I haven't. So it's much more reminiscent of the earlier, quite rightly, of the earlier TARDIS consoles. You can see the detailing on there and the spines that spread out supporting the underside, and those accurately painted black sections. We also get the sticker, of course, that points out that this is the season 15. I said season 18 earlier. I don't know why I said that. The 4th Doctor's console season 15. Yeah, apologies. And if you're all screaming at the video, well done. I won't edit it because we're all fallible. And it also will give you a sense of, if you were one of those people screaming at the screen, you've just been vindicated hugely. So yes, it's the season 15, but I really do love the sense of nostalgia that these evoke. And I know I've talked about nostalgia and toys and models from the past in other videos, but you know what, that's kind of what I'm here for. And I think in one of my upcoming Toy Evolution videos I'm going to talk about the same thing, because I think this is really important. And there was a big debate that I got caught up in recently, first initially on the periphery, then a bit more actively, around what constitutes something that is collectible. And there were some dissenting voices who excuse me, who made reasonable points that, you know, certain things like toys aren't collectible, they're toys. And I think, well, there's quite a few Star Trek toy memorabilia collectors who would probably take issue with that, and believe me, there were. But I think if you have a connection to something, if you believe in something, if you feel attracted to something that in some way brings you joy, brings you pleasure, doesn't harm anybody else in the activating of your pursuit, then why can't you collect it? Well, I mean, I'm not talking about collecting body parts. I'm not talking about, you know, dismembering your neighbours because you want to start collecting toenails. I'm talking about something that you want to collect because it connects you to what you may feel as happier times, safer times. You know, there's something I find deeply reassuring, and I don't know what this says about me, probably more than I want it to, about looking at and holding on to, not the past in a kind of we can't let go of the past kind of way, but that takes us back to what we feel was a safe time, a happy time. A bit like when you go through the belongings of someone who's passed, possibly, and you suddenly find these items that you haven't seen since your childhood, and it rockets you back to fond, happy memories, which I think really, if I'm honest with myself, terrifyingly, is possibly where my resurgence in modern day toy collecting comes from. I think it was triggered by that kind of event for me. And in some ways I'm glad. I think from a collector point of view, from a revisiting of my childhood and my happy memories point of view, it's a great time to be doing it because there's an awful lot of great stuff coming out. There's an awful lot of trash as well, but again, one man's trash is another man's treasure, so it's far be it from me to judge what other people choose to collect. But I think that's why I love these console models so much, because they really do transport me back, quite literally, to a different time, and it connects me to memories that, you know, until you're there with it, you don't necessarily remember that you even have. Anyway, I'm probably talking nonsense, and it's giving you all way too much opportunity to psychoanalyze me. Although, you know, free observations are welcome. So, does the Fourth Doctor console, and I'll zoom in a bit for effect, does the Fourth Doctor console have a place in your collection? Well, obviously, I can't speak for you, but what I can tell you is, if you're a Doctor Who fan, if you're a fan of the TARDIS designs and the TARDIS consoles through history, then absolutely this does. It's very well detailed. I think they put a lot of money and design skill on the table for this very first item. I also think that without it being as successful as it is, we would not have seen the consoles that followed it. In fact, I'm pretty sure from what I've heard from certain individuals, there was a decision to not perhaps make any more consoles, but I think their popularity just continued to flourish to the point where they have done. And again, I hope we see more yet, as it's arranged that I think they can revisit time and time again, as circumstances permit them. So I can only commend this to you, but only you know truly whether or not this belongs in your collection. And with that in mind, either way, I hope that if this has been useful, and remember, I'm really pleased because I've saved this for my 100th video, then please do hit that like button, and why not subscribe to the channel. There will be more Doctor Who, there will be more Star Trek, there will be more Transformers, more Star Wars, more other bits and pieces, looking at various things from across time, and I look forward to you being on that journey with me, because I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be interesting. And in the meantime, whilst you're waiting for videos to drop, you can always check out some of my pre-existing playlists as well. There might be some other stuff in there that both warms your heart, takes you back to places you didn't expect to go to, and ultimately may rekindle some very fond memories of days gone by. I really hope so. That's certainly my aim and intention. I'm aware that these are quite pricey online now, but you know what? You never know. You might find somebody clearing out their stock, and or clearing out somebody else's stock and letting it go relatively cheaply. Similarly, you may find it at convention, often toy fairs or Comic Cons will have some traders there, and they may well, and I often see people selling on a lot of hero collector stuff. So you may strike it lucky with this Fourth Doctor's season 15, that's season 15, TARDIS console. Anyway, thanks very much for sticking around for the last 15 or so minutes. You have been a fantastic audience, both now and in the previous 99 videos. I have been the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and this is the Hero Collector Doctor Who Figurine Collection TARDIS Console 15th season. Again, I think it's really cool. Okay, thanks very much. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Until then, don't forget that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever.